Yes, 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 people. We have the beautiful Carmen in the house, which is Holly's partner, and she's going to be telling her story from start to finish. And we're going to be getting to know Carmen a little bit. Carmen's a beautiful person, just like Holly, and I'm very honored that they've chosen my channel to come on and speak. So what I'll do is I'll bring Carmen on now, and I'll put my ugly mug on the screen now. Carmen,
Hi.
how are you doing?
I'm all right, just just living the dream, I guess.
That's it. That's it. So whereabouts in America do you live?
Right now I actually live with Holly. I live in Rhode Island with her, but I'm
Mhm.
originally from a state called Connecticut.
Connecticut. Is
Yeah.
that Eminem? Is he from Connecticut?
No, Eminem, I believe, is from the Midwest, actually. The Midwestern United States. I don't know exactly what state he's from. I'm not sure. 50
Yeah,
Cent is from Connecticut.
yeah. Is what just what is Connecticut like? Because I hear a lot of people say it's like an in between state. Like people, is it like a
It's it's weird. I don't know how to explain it. Connecticut is a lot of like, how do I explain this? Rednecks. That's the only way I could explain it.
right,
A
right?
lot of that, and then there's a lot of city. Like you either get woods or city. It's 50% woods, 50% city. So I mean, you either get rednecks or you get like gang members. I mean, you take your pick.
Wow, wow.
That's Connecticut in a nutshell.
Were you in a gang?
No, no, no,
Yeah, no, I'm sure you
no.
weren't. I'm only joking. Yeah, I'm sure you weren't. But you're coming on here to tell a story. You're coming on to tell your story, your trans story. I've told that my trans story. It's not my trans story. It's Carmen's trans story. And I'm very honored for you to come on and tell this story. Your partner Holly came on, and she done a fabulous job. I appreciated that too. But I suppose what we'll do is I like to scrape it back right to the beginning. Your earliest memory, roughly 4 years of age. Um, did you feel like you felt like there was something different from a young age?
Um, Honestly, not really. No. Again, like I said, I grew up mostly out in the woods, so I was doing everything the boys did. I was always hanging out with all my older cousins and stuff, who were all, most of them were boys. So we were all, just out playing around in the woods, and more or less, I never really felt like I was an outcast at all. Not until a much later age. So
Hmm.
the earliest memories I can think of, really, no. To be honest, no. I just felt like I kind of fit in, to be
Hmm.
honest. Because I mean, that's such a young age. You're so influenced by everything around you. So everybody does one thing, you're gonna do the same.
And what type of family did you come from? Was it very boyish? Was it very like men are men, women are women? Is it sort of like typical sort of a American household? And what was your family like?
I guess you could kind of say that. For as long as I can remember, yeah, there were, how do I put it? They weren't so accepting back in those days. Again, it was a different time. That was also the early 90s. People really still weren't fully aware of anything. So my family more or less was, men are men, women are women, men do this, women do that.
Hmm.
And a good portion of my family still to this day believe that women aren't supposed to work. So, but that's a
Mm,
whole different side to it. That's a whole different part of my family. Not going to get
yeah.
too into specifics of that, but that's kind of like a brief idea of what my family's like. Um, Growing up, yeah, basically, boys are meant to be outside playing and doing all this, and girls are meant to be inside doing all the girly things, cleaning, cooking, playing with dolls, whatnot. Boys weren't really allowed to do that.
Hmm.
So growing up, I never even really got any of that at a young age.
Well, just from a personal experience myself, it's not my story, but I can sort of interject there a little bit. I'll never forget. My mum bought a doll for my younger brother, Connell or Liam, one of them. I'm the eldest of five, and he came back. My dad came back from work, and he seen the doll, and he lifted the doll, and he walked out. And we lived in like a farmland, and he threw it. He threw it into the next field, and he came into the house. He wasn't angry or anything, and he says, over my dead body, or will you be buying a doll for my son? So just like I can understand his point a little bit, because there is certain scenarios where things are pushed on people, but then there's certain scenarios where people are born in the wrong body. Do you feel like you were born in the wrong body?
I truly believe I was. Yes,
Yeah.
I yes, most definitely. I don't know. For even, I mean, at a young age though, like I would say around like, 8 or 9 years old, that's when it really started to happen, to be honest. Because I don't know. I just never felt like, I don't know, as a growing up and, you're supposed to be like that, like you're supposed to be a boy. It just made me not want to be one. You know what I mean? Like it just didn't feel right to me at all.
Yeah, there was something inside that just you felt like you were just not different, but you felt like there was something maybe wrong.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
more I was pushed away from being allowed to be, so-called feminine, in
Hmm.
those earlier years, the more it was like, why, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think if you weren't if you came from a background that was more accepting, that maybe you would just be a gay man?
no, I don't think it matters, to be honest.
Hmm.
An accepting background or not, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't really matter to me because I've met countless numbers of people who come from extremely religious backgrounds and
Hmm.
they're in the LGBTQ spectrum somewhere
Yeah.
because you know what I mean? Your upbringing doesn't necessarily mean who you are like as identifying, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like you don't identify as something just because of your background. It's
Hmm.
just who you are. And I truly believe that I was just born in the wrong body.
Yeah.
That's just
Well,
how I see it.
it's like you sent me pictures and I was like, wow. And even now looking at you, because face it's different, it's always different face to face. It doesn't matter
Mm,
woman, man, face to face. But you definitely, you both you and Holly have got very feminine features. And you are very feminine in the way that you do things. And you can definitely tell there's a femininity there that maybe people need to be a bit more accepting to that. And on what we see in the media and stuff like that, it's not good. It's not good because there's a lot of division and stuff, and people have these ideas what the LGBTQ is and what trans people are, and that's not right. In my opinion, that's not right because I've got a lot more in common with you and Holly than I do anybody else. To be honest with you, I enjoy speaking to you. But so right, so at nine or 10, you start to have these thoughts. Now, as your dad, as your mom, as your siblings, do they pick up on you being more feminine than the rest of your brothers?
well, I only have one sibling. I have an older sister. So,
Right, right.
growing up,
Hmm.
anybody who has older siblings can understand that when your older siblings get into something, you want to get into it too. So,
Hmm.
me growing up as the younger one and being, the boy, I
Hmm.
want to do everything my older sister does. I look up to her, that's how it was. And I can't do everything my sister does because she's a girl, so it wasn't allowed. So back then, no, my parents were not accepting at all, and they would push me away from it no matter what. So like if I saw my sister get a new doll, I wanted to play with it. My dad said,
Hmm.
"No, you can't play with that," and he would take it away from me, and he would sit me down with like baseball cards or whatever. Sit me down on like a Sega Genesis and say, "Here, play this. Play with this. This is more for boys." And I wasn't
Was
allowed to have
he?
any of that.
Was he like I'm trying to think, was he forceful? Was he violent? Was he gentle? What sort of way? What
So
does
my dad's not he's not really a violent person when it comes to his kids. He never was. I'll clear that up right now. That when it comes to my parents never did anything violent. But it was more of it was like an aggressive tone, basically. Yeah, you
Hmm.
ever be like mad at somebody, but instead of yelling, you just use a stern voice to get your point across
Hmm.
so that they understand? My dad was like that. He would
Hmm.
basically just look me right in the face and say, "You're not gonna fucking play with that." Sorry if I
Hmm.
curse, my bad. I
No, we're
apologize.
listening. We're at the 9 minute mark. You can say
Okay.
whatever you want.
Just making sure, but yeah, that's basically how my dad was, sit your ass down. You're not going to play with that. You're going to play with this, or you're not going to have this at all. You either play with this or you can't do that. That's for girls. Girls do that,
Hmm.
So that's kind of how my dad was.
Do you agree with the differences? Do you agree that having like would you eradicate the differences and just have it totally neutral, or would you still have a certain sense that boys are boys and girls are girls, but if you feel different, you should just come out and say it?
Um, I don't know. I kind of want to say after all these years, I would say I'm in more of a neutral standpoint. Just let
Hmm.
people be people at this
Yeah.
point. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, the way I see it now is gender is just a spectrum. Whatever you want to say. I mean, you want to call yourself a female helicopter, go ahead. I don't care anymore what people do. It's I'm neutral. Like people are
Hmm.
people. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Gender shouldn't even be a thing anymore. We should just not care.
And so you're 9, 10. So when is the first time you tell your family, actually, I don't feel right. I'm not a boy. I'm a girl. How do you
Oh,
how did that
so
go?
that
What
didn't
age?
come in. That didn't come until I want to say. I mean, that was really late. It took me so long to come out. I mean, they knew something was different about me. I mean, about 13 years old, they already knew something was up. Like I was already by the time I hit 12, 13 years old, I was stealing my sister's clothes and all kinds of different things. I was getting in all kinds of sorts of trouble. I was stealing my mom's makeup when she wasn't around, trying to, fiddle with it. And, I know they knew, but they never said anything, not until I was in my like late teen years. Wasn't
Did the,
until about then I came out.
and there wasn't, so late teens, so it's 16, 17, 18. That's a lot of time to be living. I'm not going to say, maybe turmoil is a strong word, but that's a lot of time living sort of a lie of who you are. That's a lot of time that you could have maybe been progressing and
Um,
maybe being more comfortable with yourself and learning a bit more about yourself. Do you, you know, how were the years in between? So from 13 then to like 16, 17, 18, how were those years for you?
from okay, well, so for a lot of those years, I basically just questioned whether or not I was straight or gay. I didn't even know what trans was then yet. I had no idea that that was even a thing. I mean, it was still
Hmm.
swept under the rug. Nobody said anything about it. It wasn't like in your face nowadays. You would have to go on the internet and search for something that you don't even know you know what I mean? Like it
Hmm.
just wasn't spoken about. So back then I was just like, yeah, I just like girly things. Oh well. I didn't think nothing of it. I might be gay. I don't know. That's how it was. It wasn't until I was about 16 that it really hit. I basically in a roundabout way, I had a dream one night that I was a girl with all of my family and nobody questioned it. And that stuck in my brain for so many years. And then that's when I started questioning my gender identity. Like I knew something was different about me already, but for some reason I just couldn't get the idea that maybe I'm not supposed to be a boy from
Hmm.
16 years old to man, I don't even know. It
Yeah.
lasted a while.
It's so there's no, like, I'm always looking out for little signs, right? Because I speak to a lot of people, and a lot of people grew up in a very feminine household, right? Some people didn't. You there's no there's nothing external sort of getting at you here. There's nothing you're not around drag queens every day. Do you know what I mean?
Nope.
You're not seeing this. You're actually in a very basic sort of household, and
Yeah.
you're still there's no social conditioning, basically, right? You're not conditioned the sort of to be this way. So this is just who you are, and there's nothing external sort of making you this way. That's what I sort of look out for a little bit. But with this situation, there is none of that, right?
There's none. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like I grew up around everybody who believes. I mean, like I said, there are still family members to this day that still believe that I shouldn't be how I am. I mean, I'm not in contact with those family members, but it's crazy to think about because I mean, like I said, my parents weren't physically abusive in any way to make me, be like a rebellious type of person. Maybe I'm doing this, because I have daddy issues, as people say. I get that a lot.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not That's not necessarily true because I was doing that, I mean, I was being weird, whatever you want to call it, all those years ago anyway. But
Hmm.
the thing about it is, getting older, my parents actually grew to be more accepting, and come to find out, I have, LGBTQ people in my family. But the thing is I didn't know that growing up. My parents didn't want me to know until I got older. So it's like it's not like it was unheard of for them. They just didn't want it for their kids.
What age are you now?
I'm 29 now.
You're 29, so
Yep.
okay, so that is the 90s. We all have the fact. Like, I remember in my family, I've got a gay uncle, John, and he's a great guy, one of the nicest men you'd ever meet. But it was always hushed. It was very John's. You would whisper, well, John's gay. Do you know what I mean? It was never John's gay or John. This is John's boyfriend. Do you know what I mean? As I wouldn't give a fuck. I would be just like, oh well, listen, great, great. I don't give a shit. But it's like as time goes on, it's not that we want things to be like, oh, and TV in front of your face and in the schools. No, it's not about that at all. It's about being more accepting towards others, and it's not a hush subject. It's not something that you whisper under your breath. Oh, here's Carmen. Carmen is trapped in the wrong body. Carmen wants to be a guard. Talking about gayness, people being gay, it shouldn't be a taboo subject. It is or it isn't, and it's simple as that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be taboo at all. And for a lot of years growing up in the family I did, it actually made me scared because, I grew up around that. I grew up in a time where, it was still taboo. Nobody wanted to talk about it. And it
Hmm.
sucks because, Holly, she's a little bit younger than me. She didn't really have the same effect that I did growing up where, I grew up around people who, get you would get beat up in school for being whatever, being different. You weren't straight. You were, that was it. You know what I mean? You're going to get bullied the entire time you're in school and it sucks.
Hmm.
My family, like I said, they weren't the best, but they never hit me. And that's not saying much considering mental abuse is still just as bad in my
Hmm.
opinion. But you get ridiculed and you get bullied for it growing up when I did, and it sucks because thinking about it now, it's like my parents accept me now, but back then, not really. They didn't want no part of it. And it shouldn't be that taboo. And it sucks that it was.
And I'm not being sympathetic towards your parents, by the way, because people are who they are, and people should just need to accept that. But
Mhm.
do you think to a certain degree they're not sort of they're maybe worried about you growing up, as you say, it's a very sort of would you say conservative? Is that a blue state? Is that would Connecticut be a blue state?
Connecticut, well, that would be liberal if it was blue.
Sorry,
Red
red.
if it, red if it was conservative. It's like trying to think. I don't think Connecticut would be considered a conservative state. It's more liberal than it is conservative, to be honest. There are
But
big parts of it that are
yeah.
conservative, but more of it's
Mhm.
kind of leaning liberal.
But maybe your close circles are very. It's not a common thing. It's not okay. Sure, there's people out there that are still haven't come out yet, but it's a time of it's sort of an era where people aren't coming out with this all the time, and you have to go to the cities to sort of to even just come out. Because I know speaking to a few people doing this podcast, sourcing guests, they're saying, yeah, well, I actually didn't come out until it was around my own people, and I went to a city or I went away from a family. And that is a sad thing. That it is a sad thing because people should feel accepted regardless. But do you think that your parents maybe were a wee bit worried about growing up and the bullying and they weren't so much focused on your identity or your sexuality, but it was more to do with what other people would do to you when they're not about to protect you? Do you think that that was a factor in it?
Yeah, it was. Both my parents have come out and said that they were worried about that growing up.
Hmm.
My dad has, apologized so many times now over the last couple of years since I've started this, and he feels bad. I get it, but I mean, you can't take back anything that you did back then. That's why I
Hmm.
tell them, and they
Hmm.
definitely were. They were worried about all that, but the thing was, it's like, it's one thing to say you're sorry for it, but then to bully me at home for the same reason. So like I would
Hmm.
go to school, get bullied for it, and then come home and get bullied by my dad for the same thing that I just got bullied about at school for. So
No
that's
safe. There's no safe space,
there
basically.
wasn't. No. And
Hmm.
around like certain people, I would have to act a certain way. Like for so many years, I would have to act and just pretend that I was this person. Like I used to look like a redneck too, really, really short hair, big beard, everything. Hell, I used to drink like a fish because, fuck it. Just forget about everything and just pretend it doesn't exist. So drinking was like a way to get rid of it all because, hey, guys drink, right? What's the best way to look like a guy? Just keep drinking.
And did you like? Here's a question. I just want to know: are you into girls? Or are you into men?
I am what is now called pansexual. I'm into everything. Doesn't
Right.
matter what you identify as male, female, trans, whatever. Like I said earlier, if you wanted to call yourself an Apache helicopter, fly your ass over here. I don't care. You know
Right.
what I
Okay.
mean? I
Right.
don't.
Right.
I don't
Okay.
care. If I'm attracted to you, I'm attracted to you. If not, oh well. That's
I'm
just the
learning
way I
on the
am.
job. Listen, listen. I am learning on the job. I don't know pansexual. Listen, when somebody the first part,
Pansexual
you
basically
know.
just means that no matter what they identify as, you if you're attracted to them, you're attracted to them. That's basically what it is.
Right. Okay. Well, I can understand that to a certain degree. I cannot. Well, actually, no, I can't. To be honest with you, because listen. I'm a straight white male. That's the thing. You know what I mean? I like women, and I don't. You know, but it's a strange one because I agree with you. I agree with you. We'll get into a few other wee subjects at the end of this because I've got a couple of questions at the end. But just to run through your story here, that was a tough time in your life, wasn't it? Through that,
Hmm.
and then so when you first came out to your dad, what or to your parents and your family, what was the initial reaction?
All right. To be honest, I didn't come out in a way that most people like to think that people would come out to their family.
Mhm.
Because like I said, I was 19 when I first came out, and I originally came out as gay. But I
Right.
did that for a reason because I was still questioning my gender identity, still at 19 years old, still questioning it. And so I told my family, I was like, you know what? I sat my mom down by herself, and I said, Mom, look, I'm gay. And she just looked at me and she goes, I'm so proud of you. You finally told me. And, she hugged me and everything, and she was super accepting. And, in the back of my mind, I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, so they accept me as gay. That's fine. My dad was the worst one to tell. I was actually on the internet talking to my now long gone ex, and that's how I came out. I literally looked at my dad. I said, "Hey, Dad, you want to meet my boyfriend?" And my dad just looked me in the face
No.
and goes, I don't care, right?" And then walked out the room. That was it. That was the whole conversation. Me coming out to my dad. I was trying to be funny with it because he's got a personality, so why not see what his
Mhm.
reaction would be? He just goes, "I don't care," and walks out the room.
Obviously, he does care because
He does.
if you didn't care, you would stay about and you'd be like, "Listen, I'm
Mhm.
gay, and that's it. That's it."
But
Do you know what I mean?
that was kind of how I came out to my dad because I figured, what the fuck, I'll just start a new conversation with him. Try to get a reaction from him. That's the best thing I could think of. It wasn't until about a week later he pulled me aside, and we were actually out fishing at the time, and he wanted to talk to me. He goes, I don't care what you do. It's your life. He's like, you're my kid. I'm gonna love you anyway. And that's what his actual later on initial reaction was. I just think I shocked him at the moment. He just ran away. But that's how I came out to my mom and dad. The rest of the family, I did it over Facebook when I was drunk. I got really drunk and I just said, fuck it one night. One of my friends convinced me. They're like, just come out, just do it. So I got on Facebook. I made this big, long, paragraph long fucking drunk text saying how I'm
Let me
gay and
guess.
I don't care.
What were you drinking? I guarantee you were drinking. You're either drinking whiskey or vodka.
No vodka, but there was whiskey involved.
Told you.
Always
Knew
whiskey
it.
involved.
Knew it.
Whiskey's my favorite alcohol.
I'll
Whiskey
send you
and
some over.
whiskey and beer.
I'll send you some Irish whiskey over. I think you'll like it.
Good, because I've been wanting some good Irish whiskey for a long time. But yes, whiskey and beer, and I came out on Facebook. I had no idea I did it until the next morning when I looked at my phone. I had like 170 notifications with all these messages and whatnot. A good portion of them were, good. Um, but the only downside was is after I came out on Facebook, a good portion of what I would have called my friends at the time, a good 80% of my friends basically told me to kill myself. So that was not the
Go
best idea.
go kill yourself.
Yeah, because that a good portion of the people I called friends were very anti-LGBTQ, and some of them still are. Some of those people still are, and they basically told me to kill myself because I was gay.
So how long were you with these friends for? Did you know them from childhood right up until this point? What?
Uh High school. We met some of them I met in middle school, so like, 8 or 9 years old, and some of them I met in high school and stuff. And I thought they were my friends. We hung out all the time. Nobody questioned anything. Nobody said anything. But when you get messages from people, basically saying that you're an abomination to the world and all this other shit, it sucks.
Religious?
Some of them were religious. A couple of them have apologized over the years now, which that's cool. Whatever. I don't care. You be you. I don't give a shit. You want to be mean to me? That's fine. I'm not gonna, accept your apology. But some of them were just downright, just shitty people. That's the only way I could say it. Just shitty fucking people. And
Mm.
I haven't spoken to them since then. It's been about 10 years since I spoke to them.
I couldn't imagine saying that to somebody. Like if if a friend came to me and says, "Oh, I'm trans," I'd just be like, "Yeah." Does that mean you're going to grow your hair and wear a dress now? It wouldn't. It wouldn't really. I wouldn't. I mean, to have those feelings and that hatred towards another group, it should be an individual thing. It should. people, this is what I'm saying. Everybody's very divided, and people are always looking at the man in the box, the TV, and you're hearing Fox News, CNN, BBC, and GB News, and all this, and you're thinking, actually, it's an individual thing. That's what it is. Take everybody as an individual. You mightn't have the same views as the next person that's in the LGBTQ. As you say, the LGBTQ is a spectrum. It's a spectrum of people, and not everybody's the same. And it's a sad sort of time whenever you have these people that do follow religion, and it's all about forgiveness and love, but only if you're in our group. If you're not in our group, we're going to hate you. And it's hypocritical, and that needs updated. 100%, that needs updated.
I agree. I 100% agree. And to just say a little bit of something extra to that, there are people, that have come out to me and have apologized completely full on. They regret everything they said to me back then, and they're not the same person they are today. And, I
Yeah.
have spoken to a couple of them, actually not too long ago, about a year ago, and they regret it. They feel bad because they're not that person now. They've grown, they've learned that they've made a mistake, whatever.
Hmm.
And the same thing for me too. Like, we're dumb kids at some points, and we're just do stupid shit and we fall on the wrong people, and shit happens, but it still sucks because a
Hmm.
good portion of those people, when you're around them that, for that many years, you think that you guys are best friends. And then, one morning you wake up and it's all gone. You just try to be yourself and it's all gone. It sucks.
Yeah. So you said 80% of your friends sort of told you to do that. But how did most of your family, the percentage of your family,
My
did you get a
family,
good reception from them?
for the most part, yeah, there's like 5 or 6 people in my family that don't agree with it, but they just acknowledged it and was like, okay, you do you, but stay away from me. Like 5 people in my family. That's
Wow.
it. The rest of my family, my immediate family too, everybody else was pretty well received. A lot of people were just like, "Oh my god, we're so proud of you." Da 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 da. We're so happy for you. We hope you continue to blah blah blah, go about your journey, whatever. It's so long ago now, I don't even remember the real responses, but for the most part, I got a lot of love from it. My dad, especially, my dad was actually happy that I finally told everybody. My mom too, my sister, everybody was super happy for me, and I got a lot of support from my immediate family. That's especially the ones that are here now. So
That's
it
excellent.
went good. It went good.
And so you're 19, you come out, and were you 19 when you came out on Facebook?
Yes,
Right. So
19 when I came out as gay.
you came out as gay. So the big question is, when do you come out to your family that actually you're trapped in the wrong body and you're Carmen?
That wasn't until a little bit later. I came out. The reason I came out as gay was mostly as like, I think I might be gay. I'm gonna tell everybody I'm gay. So let's see if they accept me. Because if they'll accept me as gay, because at the time, I mean, I was only dating guys, and I wasn't even dating girls at all. I just figured I
Hmm.
was gay. It just made sense.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I really started. I did about a good from 18 to 22. I did all those years researching and talking and reaching out to trans people, and from both sides too, trans men, trans women, to really understand and try to get what exactly it is. Like, am I fucked up? You know what I mean? Like, is that what it is? Am I just confused? And I just made the decision at like 23 years old. I told my mom, my dad, everybody, I basically told them all at once, everyone that was at my house at the time, I'm trans. I don't want to be a boy. I never really wanted to. I've been questioning this for years. All the way up from 13 till 23, I used to ask all of my friends all the time, what would happen if I became a girl? Just out of curiosity, just throw that out
Hmm.
there. What would you do if you became a girl, right? Just a stupid question. And hear everybody's response. And everybody would be like, we don't know what we would do if you became a girl, just, whatever. So when I finally came out at like 23, everybody was like, okay, we're confused. First you're gay, now you want to be a girl. How does that work? I'm like, well, the thing is I could be gay and still want to be a girl, you know.
Hmm.
But sorry, I'm kind of stuttering because
No, no, listen,
I
listen.
haven't I haven't actually told a lot of people this in a long time. It's been a while
Mhm.
since I've actually explained my story, but basically everybody was confused because they thought, being gay and being a girl, it can't work. It doesn't make sense. I'm like, well, if
Yeah,
I'm
you
a
would. Yeah,
You
you would.
would
I would.
think,
Yeah.
but gender and sexuality are two different things. And it wasn't until further, experiences with, women, men, whatever, it wasn't until later that I just, discovered, hey, I'm actually pansexual and I want to be a girl. And that's where I am today, basically.
And did you have to find certain groups of people to understand there was different sort of subcategories to sexuality, like pansexual, straight, and I struggle. I'm not going to lie to you. I struggle. That's what.
I still
Yeah,
struggle, to
you
be
know,
honest. I'm still
I
struggling with it all.
listen. This is why I do this, because I want to learn things. I want to learn. I want to know what the world is like and all the different people that live on it. And I think as long as everybody lives by the law, everybody should be accepted 100%. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Um, so, so yes, so you've had girlfriends before,
Yes, I have.
and you were in like should you say sexual relationships with women,
Yes.
and as you say, that's what pansexual is. Sort of, it's not bisexual. It's everything trans. Um,
Everything. Whatever
yeah.
you want, you non-binary, it's mostly like, basically, like, let's say if me and you were walking down the street, right?
Hmm.
And you know what I mean? We just walk by each other, whatever. I'd
Hmm.
look at you and be like, oh, he's a handsome guy. Why not? All right. Then we go ask
Hmm.
him for his number and then walk across the street and talk to a trans guy and do the same thing. You know what I mean? It
So
doesn't make a
yeah,
difference to me.
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't make a difference.
yeah, yeah. That's, I have to say though, that is a real. That has to be. You have to have a sense of femininity into you to sort of think that way, because that's a feminine way of thinking. Like you see a lot of women these days getting into relationships with other women because they can't live with a man, and rightly
Hmm.
so. Men can be men can be bad sometimes. You know what I mean? They can, will leave the toilet seat up, don't do the dishes or don't do the washing, but and you see that an awful lot, and because there's more acceptance in the world that can happen, people feel a bit more comfortable that they can do that, and that's a good thing. Now I'm going to ask you a question, okay? And it's going to be it's going to be a hard question, and I hope you don't mind me asking.
Oh, shoot. Go ahead.
I was looking at statistics of trans people that would commit suicide, and in America, it's actually quite high. It can be quite high, and they don't know what the reason for this is. Did you ever have any experiences with mental health issues, with finding yourself that you were going to do this, or did you feel that that was an option in your life?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you would think that would be a hard question, but for me, it's not. I've struggled
Hmm.
with mental health issues all my life. I've been in and out of therapists and psychiatrists and social workers all my life. Um, you know what I mean? Like, I've always had to try and reach out to somebody, but nobody really ever worked until the one I have now. But yes, I can. I don't really want to fully get into it right now, because I mean that could be a story for another time. But basically, I have actually attempted suicide. And fortunately enough, I am still here today. Um, but it sucks. I struggled with that a lot growing up because, like I said, a good portion of my friends actually told me to kill myself. That same day that that happened, I actually tried because I had enough. I lost, I thought I lost everything. You know what I mean? My family loves me, and that's great. But when you lose all the people that you're around on a daily basis that are supposed to be there for you, you know what I mean? The people that you look up to, like your best friends, people that you've shared your bed with, people that you've played video games next to, shared food with, hung out with on a daily basis, slept over their house. You know what I mean? That connection you build, to just have it suddenly just say, fuck you, it sucked. I felt like everybody that I thought really cared about me didn't care about me anymore and didn't pay attention to any of my family who were actually the ones that truly cared about me. So I tried to actually kill myself. And it's, and yeah,
That's
it's
that's
not,
yeah.
it's not good.
Yeah, yeah. That's. But look, what I will say is, Carmen, right? Is that those experiences, those really, really negative, terrible experiences that you have, and I always say this to people, right? Is that when you experience these really negative, dark moments in your life, whenever you get the light, like you're with Holly now, or yeah, you're with Holly now, you're in a very good place. So you go from a very negative to then throughout your life. And anybody watching this here that's going through a dark place, whatever situation that you find yourself in, there's a dark time and then there's a light time. And when you're in the light, you need to go through dark periods to appreciate what you have. Just in my opinion, I could be wrong. It's just how I feel about it. But it's the negative experiences and the positive experiences that actually make us as people. And you'll probably find. Listen, I'm not speaking for you, but you'll probably find that you're a strong person today because of all the negative experiences that you've had. And thank the universe, thank God, thank whoever you want that you got through that. And are you in an okay headspace today?
Um, yes. I'm in a much better headspace now. I after that night when I actually did try to off myself, I'll put it that way again.
Hmm.
Don't want to bring it down any more than it already was. I actually, my best friend is actually one of my best friends is actually the reason I'm still here today. But for a long time, after that, because I came out at, came out as gay at 19, he was the only one that was left. I thought that's it. After that night, all we did was drink all the way up until I came out as trans. From 19 to 23 years old, that's all I did was drink. I barely remember any of those years because that's all I did. I was
Same,
like, fuck it.
same.
I was like, I'm alive. Let's do this. Let's get drunk every day. It's 5 a.m. Crack
Yeah.
open a 6-pack. Oh, it's 5 a.m. again. I haven't slept yet. Let's keep drinking. I'll sleep next week. I didn't
There's a
care.
bit of
That's all I did.
there's a bit of Irish in you then, definitely.
There is absolutely.
There's
Yep.
100% because that's an Irish trait. Because listen, I've drank with people from all around the world, Americans and whatnot, but the party only see for an Irish person, the party only gets started at 5 o'clock. That's it.
Yep.
Do you know
No,
what I
I
mean?
am. I'm Irish and I'm Irish and Polish and all kinds of different North European
Oh,
nonsense.
you got the good genetics. The good
Irish,
genetics here.
Polish, German, Swedish, French, and Canadian and Native American. That's all of it.
Native American. Listen, we have to speak
Yep.
away because I want to do a whole Native American series. I'll not talk about it too much here. We'll speak after, but I love the Native American thing, and I want to do a series on that and learn about
Um,
that.
with me, I would love to, but I honestly don't know enough. Like I know what tribe I'm technically from, but I don't know enough about it. Like I have family members that are a lot more into their actual tribes. Like my cousins and whatnot, they're from
Hmm.
different Native American tribe than me, but I don't know that much. I just know that my heritage is from that, and that's that. That's where it ends.
I'm in the groups, and these people remind me of the Irish because I would go into these groups and I would speak to these people and say, yeah, 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 of course I'll come on your channel. And then you give them a time and a date and they don't show up. And there was one guy and he says he was going to come on my channel and he rang me. He like YouTube or not YouTube, the Facebook rang me and he was pissed out of his head on whatever, some wine. I was like, oh, sorry, bro, I can't come on. I'm getting pissed. And I was like, mate, I've got this all set up. But listen, they're funny people, and I really want to learn about that. But sticking to your story here, I'm getting a lot of comments in here. There's, I know, absolutely. He was texting me beforehand. He says my 16-year-old daughter has been living female right through secondary school. She was born male and has been going through a fair amount of bullying, but now she has a great network of friends around. Do you think it's very important to have a very good, important network of friends?
Um, yeah, to an extent. Um, I know from personal experience that, friends don't really, you don't need a lot of friends. You just need key friends. You need at least one friend that understands you, just somebody that you can talk to because that one person is going to be the reason you're still going with your journey and doing whatever you're doing because they're the ones you tell your secrets to. They're the ones that'll be there for you late at night at 2 o'clock in the morning when, you're having an issue. They're the ones that every single day when you go to school, they're going to be happy to see you no matter how you look. You could be wearing sweatpants and, have your fucking hair covered in shit. They don't care. And they'll be the ones that tell you, honestly, you look like shit today, but you'll laugh and go about your day because they're your friend. Those are the
Yeah.
friends you need. You don't really
Hmm.
need a group of friends. You just need at least one good one. And
Yeah.
that to me, that's all that matters. One
That's
good person in your life. That's all you really need. After that, I mean, the rest is just icing on the cake.
Trust me, like there's a lot of people will be watching this here. You don't know how many people that you can help. Like absolutely, he's going through a situation with his daughter, and just little things like that. There that men, maybe some men have got they've got kids and don't know what to say. That's good advice. You don't need a big group of friends. You just need one good friend, the sort of to get you through. So I'm thinking to myself now, when do you actually like when do you start bringing partners and people back, like, to the family? When's the first time that you say this is me, and you're bringing people back to the house? Basically, is that allowed in your household, like girlfriends,
Um,
boyfriends, and stuff like that?
um, where I was living with my father and
Yeah,
my mom and whatnot, yes, it was allowed.
yeah.
From the second I came out, my mom was excited. She couldn't wait for me to bring
Hmm.
home my first boyfriend, so she could be like fucking judging the dude, because that's my mom. That's her personality. She wanted to take over like the dad role and be like, if you fuck with my kid, you know what I mean? That's my parents,
Hmm.
growing up. So, but
Hmm.
mostly it was once they were like comfortable and they understand what I was doing, and
Hmm.
like I was happy being me, and that this wasn't like a phase, so to call it. Like some people seem to think it's a phase, boys go through weird phases growing up, whatever. Once they realize the reality of it, that this is me, that's it. My family was just like, okay, whatever, do you. We're not going to judge you.
And so then, when did you fully? I know. So you were 23, I think you says, when
When I finally came out as trans, yes.
What did your dad and your family think about that situation?
Well, my mom, she basically, now see, this is going to be kind of opposite. It's going to be kind of contradicting here, because this is where it gets weird with my mom and dad.
Hmm.
So my mom and my dad didn't like the fact that I liked men, right? And my mom just was like all for it. But when I came out and said I want to be a girl, my mom actually was the one that was more against it. My dad just said, I don't fucking care. He's like, why would I give a shit? I already told you were gay. I didn't give a shit. You're my kid. I'm going to love you no matter what. You fucking want to paint your nails? Let me see what color you're going to paint them so I can tell you it looks like shit and fix it. That was my dad. And
Hmm.
it blew my mind that my dad was actually more accepting towards it at first, at least in my perspective, than my mom. My mom told me she didn't understand and she was confused and she didn't get it. And
Hmm.
like that kind of hurt, because like she didn't mean it that way. Like she didn't mean it in a mean way, but it was like, dad just told me he doesn't give a shit.
Hmm.
Like,
Oh, I
why can't you
understand.
just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Why can't you just be like, I don't care, you're my kid, and leave it at that?
Hmm.
Why do you need to have a deeper understanding of it? You
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
really need that.
You,
I'm
you're
your kid.
you're expecting them reactions, but from you're expecting that reaction from your dad and the acceptance from your mum, but actually you're not getting
Yeah.
that here in this situation.
Yeah, no, it was weird. It like
Yeah.
they like traded sides, and it confused me, because it's like at first, like, I mean, my mom may say something different, my dad may say something different, because whatever they talk about the kids, when me and my sister aren't there, that's that to them. I don't know. But in my perspective, it just felt like my dad was more accepting at first, and it blew my mind. I was like, what the hell? Like what? Like what just happened?
So, right, if my son came to me at the time and he was gay and he says, "Look, I want to be a girl," the first thought that would go through my mind is he wants to get his willy chopped off. Now, I'm just going to say it how I just going to say it how what because I think I can be open. I think I'll be really really open, because I'm not trying to be ignorant or nasty
No,
or anything.
no, that's true though. That's a true statement. Most parents do think that.
Yeah. So is that something that was going through your head? You want to be a full woman, or what do you want to be?
See, that's something I've been struggling with even since I was 16. Because, like I
Hmm.
told you, that was when I had that dream where I was with my family and I was a girl. I was a full
Hmm.
on girl from head to toe. And, like, to this day, that still bothers me. I still play that over and over in my head, because I'm like, I'm going through this. I've been on, hormones for coming up on 3 years in this May. This May will be
Hmm.
3 years that I've been on hormones. But the thing is cosmetic surgeries kind of scares me. Like, it's
Hmm.
not a guarantee that when you go through with any surgery that you're going to come out the same way that you went in. You know what I mean? Especially not getting, those parts, as I call them, clipped, getting that stuff clipped off your body. Like, you're basically getting rid of something that works and giving yourself not even a 50-50 chance that you're going to have, anything going on down there. You could just be stuck with something that does nothing for you It's just another hole in your body. And to me,
Yeah.
that's not necessarily what I want. Like if it was more than like 75% chance that like I would, cut my genitals off and then all of a sudden, like I actually have, a working, vagina and whatnot, everything was okay, I would
Hmm.
do it. But I don't right now where I'm sitting right now. It's like I want it, but I'm just too scared to do it because
So are the
I don't know what's going to
percentages
happen.
lower that once that happens? Like we live in a day and age where there's a lot of technology in regards to like medical science and stuff. It's progressed throughout the years. So we're not at a stage now where they know they can be like sort of 99% that this is going to work for you.
Yeah, see, that's the thing though, because everybody's body reacts differently. So no
Hmm.
two surgeries are going to come out the same way.
Hmm.
I mean, it's the same thing as anything else that you do to your body. No two people are the same. So they can't really give you a definitive like perfect like percentage that you're going to have. I mean, in a way it's kind of a 50-50 shot in a way. You're going to
Hmm.
be okay or you're not. So to me it's like I don't really want to take the chance. It's almost to the point where like I think it's worth it, but another part of me is just like, well, what if you get it and you don't like it?
So
What if this was what you wanted?
are you comfortable with a penis, or
Yeah.
would you rather not have it?
if if I knew for a fact, 100% fact that I could just it would be fine, absolutely. Like I know for a fact that like I could cut it off and be perfectly happy. Yes. Cuz there are a lot of times where like I'm like, dude, this sucks. I just wish it was gone. But then
Really?
but then there's also the part of my brain that's still, you know what I mean? The only way I can say it is this your guy, so you'll understand this perspective. Imagine just one day it's gone. It's like a best friend disappearing.
Yeah.
You've had it for 29 years of my life. I can't just, you know what I mean? It's literally a part of me. How do you just get rid of something that's been there for 29 years of your life? Works just fine. You know what I mean? The only way I could see this is in kind of like a weird light is that, it's like a best friend being gone. Like
I
what the
would
fuck?
rather
That's my
lose an
buddy.
I would rather lose an eye.
Exactly my point. It's like it still works. It does everything I need to. And half the time when I'm lazy, I don't have to squat like women do. I can just pull my pants down and go. You know what
There
I
you
mean?
go.
You
You
know
got
what
the
I mean? Like
you've got the benefits of both worlds. That's crazy.
yeah,
But what
and
I'm trying to get into the mind here, if you for 2 minutes,
it's
like because maybe because I can't think out of the box. Maybe that's what the problem is. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm a guy. I've got a penis. This thing means everything to me. Like
mhm,
I protect it, make sure that it, at any stage, this thing's not coming off. I'm going to try my best.
mhm.
So you have that in you, and it's like I'm going to just be honest, right? So maybe that what way could I explain this? So like for instance, you've used your penis for for pain and sexual things, right? Right.
Yep.
So you know what it's used for, right? So the fact that you would cut it, you would actually think about cutting it off and maybe being left with nothing, and you're left with no sexual organs. How could you? Is that does that deter you away from doing it? Does that make sense? I'm trying to word that
Yes.
correctly.
Yeah,
Do you know
no,
what I mean?
no.
It's
You did pretty
psychological.
much
Yeah,
the right way of saying that.
yeah,
Basically what it would be is like so the biggest thing for me that worries me is no sexual pleasure is one of the major things because I mean, what
yeah,
the fuck? Why have a
yeah.
vagina if you can't use it for what you want to use it for? But don't get me wrong. I'm not speaking for all trans women and when I say that because I know a lot of trans women who get the surgery and sexual things it's not what it's needed for. They just want it because clothes fit better. Female clothing will fit better. I mean, that's just when you buy
So
female clothes,
drugs.
dicks aren't meant to fit in female clothes. I'm just
Oh
saying.
right, yeah, yeah,
What I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you can't buy a thong and expect, your dick and balls not to flop out every now and then. That's just the way it works unless you buy male thongs. That's just how they're made. So in that sense, I have to tuck in order to wear like a swimsuit and stuff. But the thing that scares me is, yeah, not being able to use it for what it's meant for, not having any feeling down there, basically just having a hole that's there.
Yeah, you just as you said that. Do you ever watch the scene in Ace Ventura with the woman?
Yep, I know
That
exactly what you're saying. That's why I said it.
just as you said that, that's the first thing that came to my head. That's crazy. But But I mean though, there should. It's really strange that we're having like there's lots of LGBTQ. There's lots of this being promoted and stuff like on TV, sort of acceptance, which is good. Is there not a clothesline that has came out and says, right, we're going to make exclusive clothes. It doesn't have to be a store. It doesn't have to be a shop. It's just an online shop that you can go and buy stuff
See,
just for that type of thing.
not that I'm aware of. I'm sure there is. I mean, the internet, there's everything on the internet. I'm sure if you dig far enough, you probably can find like a legit clothing line that is targeted more to, to trans men, trans women. But for a lot of companies now, I do know one thing is that they make these things. They're called gender neutral clothes. They're clothes that, you can order them in any size, whatever. They're meant to fit comfortably on anybody, no matter what gender you are. And that's
Yeah.
nice. But it's, to me, it's still, I don't know, to be honest, when it comes to that. I don't really pay attention to that. I just go out and buy female clothes and, do the same thing I've always done and just deal with whatever happens, basically.
I suppose in a certain sense, I'm just speaking out loud here, right? And I am a bit of a dick sometimes, but I suppose in a
You're
certain
good.
sense, if you're a trans woman, right, you're sort of blessed if you're born with a small penis.
Uh, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, some trans women, I know a couple of trans women myself that I talk to that wish they were bigger. They don't want a vagina at all. And I mean,
Wow.
it's weird because I mean, I myself too at times I'm like, dude, I wish it was gone, but I also wish it was a little bigger if I'm going to use it. You know what I mean?
Jesus
No,
Christ.
I mean, come on,
That's
I
brilliant.
mean,
That's
think
brilliant.
about it though. It's in my perspective too. It's the
Wow.
same thing. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you get those moments where it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. No, I
wish
understand.
this thing was gone. And then like when you get down to do the fun stuff with whoever you're doing it with, you're like, fuck, man, I wish it was bigger now.
And that sort of
Like,
leads me on to another subject then. So, the sort of the drugs that you'd have to take to sort of suppress testosterone and stuff. Can you run through us the medications that you're on to sort of give you the feminine features and high is it you have to take estrogen tablets, I think, and
yeah,
testosterone blockers?
yeah, basically, so what the medicine is actually called, the meds, you have aldactone or spironolactone. Those two are both the same. Aldactone is just the name brand of it, but what it does is it basically it blocks the how do I explain this? So like each guy and girl have like a certain amount of testosterone and estrogen that we both produce in our bodies. So aldactone basically stops the flow of, too much testosterone into the body. It
Hmm.
doesn't block it all completely. I mean, as long as you have your genitals, you're going to keep producing testosterone. What it does is slow it
Hmm.
down and bring it all the way down here. So like a normal guy, like for you, a cis male, your production of testosterone will be up here. Someone on like HRT would be way down here instead. So that's kind of like what it does. It doesn't block it completely, but it slows it down a lot. And then the other one is estradiol, which is commonly known as estrogen. And, that again, instead of the normal male being way down here, it would be up here. You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So it just increases that, and the other one slows down the other. And that kind of helps with the feminine features in your face, your skin, your hair, like the way your hair grows in, it'll be thinner, grow in less place.
Hmm.
Depending on what age you are when you start them too, it can affect your voice. So like if you start before puberty sets in, your voice will actually be more feminine the older you get. With me, it didn't work because I actually didn't start HRT until 26. So,
Yeah, yeah. I suppose that's another topic we could talk about. Where do you think? Because there's a lot of political debates, and I know we're not political, right? Well, I am a little bit, right? I'm not gonna lie to you. Do get a wee bit political now and again, right? But where do you feel that should there be a limit where a person can take these treatments, or if there is, where do you think we should draw the line, if there is a line, in your opinion?
um, I'm kind of on both sides of that, to be honest, because I believe that, I mean, as long as, everything is done and done right, and the child truly knows, then it's okay. But the question is what age are they allowed to truly know that that's what they want? Because I
Hmm.
mean, kids want everything that they see on TV. What kid doesn't? I mean, you see a monster truck toy come out, you want it when you're 6, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So when you see everybody around you on social media, because that's all we have nowadays, that's all people care about, you're going to want to do the same thing everybody else is doing. So to me, it's like, at what age is it okay for parents to look at their child and be like, we should do this because this kid wants it? To me, I would say, when you're 13 plus should be okay, because you're still at that age where puberty is starting, and you're at that age where you can't necessarily make your own decisions for yourself, but you know enough that this is what you really want. You know what I mean? And basically
Yeah.
go from there. That's the way I would see it. 13 years old, you should be in high school at that point. You know what I mean? Freshman year, in
Mm-hmm.
high school, 13, 14. You kind of have an idea of what you want in life. Not a
Yeah,
lot, but
that's
you know
fair.
enough,
That's fair.
especially with the
Yeah,
younger generation.
that's fair. I sort of have to agree with that because I disagree with below that. Like if you're going, like you see a lot of people, 4, 5, 6, and they say I want to be a guard. I listen. We don't know. We don't want to tell people what to do, but at the same time, we don't allow people to drink alcohol until 18. Here it's 21 in America. We don't
Mm-hmm.
allow people to drive cars. We don't allow people to go to war. We don't allow people to do certain things at a certain age because they don't have the, as you say, the not the cognitive abilities, but sort of the maturity to realize uh, certain paths. But
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to this, there's a deep. What I'm getting from this podcast is there's a deep thing inside somebody who is trapped in the wrong body, and you will know from the not from the get go, but you'll know from the ages of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that there is this boy, this girl is different from the average boy and girl, and maybe we need to keep an eye on this here and ask certain questions without implanting certain seeds in the kids' heads. This should be like a not a handbook, but sort of more things to help parents sort of identify, is there certain things like is your could your kid be trans? So when they do get to 13, you're well schooled, you're well educated, um, so when you get to that point, they might turn around and say, "Well, actually, no, I'm happy being a girl. I'm happy being a boy," and or they might say, "Actually, no, I'm 13, 14 now, and I still have this deep desire to be the other, the other sex," and then you can take it from there. But it is a debate that's polarizing the world. It's a debate that's it's dividing the
Mm-hmm.
population between 13, 14. How would you feel about the 16 range? Is that too far?
No, actually, I mean that's not too far at all. Because I mean, you're only 2 years away from being a legal adult in the United States under the
Hmm.
law's eyes. You are a legal adult at 18.
Hmm.
But the thing to go back to what you were saying a second ago is at a young age too, when it comes to parents and stuff. What people really, in my eyes, should be doing. Remember, this is just my opinion. At a young age, if a boy or a girl comes up and says they want to be the opposite gender to their parents at like 5, 6 years old, instead of just rejecting it or just like going whatever, instead, just like really what people should be doing is just encouraging their kid to just let them be whoever they want to be. When you take them school shopping to buy new clothes, let them get whatever clothes that they feel like they belong in, and see where it goes. If by the time 16 comes around and they're going back to whatever and they're still doing the same thing, then ask them. You know what I mean? 16, you have way more of a cognitive understanding of like the world and like the way you think people should perceive you to be. You know what I mean? At
Hmm.
16 years old, you should really be able to understand, what sex is, what gender is, how the body
Hmm.
works, and everything. I mean, at
Yeah,
16
yeah.
years old, we were smoking weed and drinking. I mean, we knew back then. You know what I mean? Like I
I
was already
was
doing that.
I was smoking weed and drinking from the age of 14. So
So what I'm
listen,
saying, 14 years, I
to
picked up my first cigarette at 14 years old. You know what I mean? That's why I'm saying like
yeah,
13,
yeah.
14 years old, you kind of, especially the younger generation, man, that shit's pushed on you so quick. Like you have a very good understanding of what's around you at those young teen years. So 16 wouldn't be too bad. That should be like the consent age for you to decide on your own. 13, 14 should be with parental consent.
Well, you can go to war at 16. So your
Yeah.
country can send you to war at 16. So why can't you choose who you are at 16? Now I think 16 is a really good age, and have it just in my opinion, this isn't me telling people what to do. Have it 16, but in rare occasions when a child is deeply distressed of the gender that they're in, you could maybe lower that to like 13, but no lower. Only if there's overwhelming evidence that this child is in turmoil and
Yeah,
there's nothing more. This is actually affecting the child's life in every aspect.
I could agree with that. That makes sense.
Just in case, you never know how that would pan out. I'm sure people need to realize in every situation you're going to get scenarios where there's going to be one kid out of thousands that'll go, oh my god, why did I do that? That's just statistics for you. That's just the way life is. But it doesn't mean. But it's, at the same sense, society has to go at the slowest pace of the slowest person, because we can't just go at the fastest pace, because then you'll leave everybody behind. And it's a really hard one. It's a really hard one. You need to get scientists in. You need to get people from both ends of it, and then people need to come together and actually make a decision. So where are we up to now? We're up to uh, how. So you've moved from Connecticut to New York, is it?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island and New
Rhode
York. Is,
Island.
is that is that New York?
No. Rhode Island and New York are two separate states.
Right. So that they're two states, and is Rhode Island near New York?
To be honest, yes and no.
Yeah, I keep getting
it's quite
Rhode
it's
Island
still
in.
it's closer to Connecticut. It's literally like 45 minutes from where I moved from.
Are
From
you
Connecticut to Rhode Island, we're right next. The states are right next to each other.
right?
It's the
Okay.
East
So
Coast.
so there's no then. So it's not how. So you've not moved totally away from your family, basically.
No, it's like a 45-minute drive to my dad's house.
Well, there you go. That's not too bad then. That's
It's
that's
not it's not far at all, really.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. And how is life today? What's your goal in life today?
My goal in life today,
Hmm.
shit. You kind of
Drink
caught me off
whiskey,
guard.
whiskey.
No, I don't really drink no more. I got Jameson over there, but I don't every once in a while on occasion I don't really drink. My goal in life today is really just to just do life, to be honest, just to pay my bills and get by, really. That's it. That's all I want. I just want to be able to go out and have everybody see me for who I am, and that's it. I just want to be me in a comfortable way, and that's it. That's all I want.
And do you feel that since a young age till now, America, where you live, has changed in acceptance towards trans people and the LGBTQ?
Yeah, it's definitely changed a lot. I mean, growing up as a kid in a time where it wasn't accepted at all to a time now where it's in your face. I
Hmm.
mean, I can't, dude, I can't throw a quarter out this window and hit somebody that's straight. Everybody around, I mean, is in the LGBTQ spectrum nowadays. It's everywhere. It's so accepting. It's unbelievable.
And
Like
do
it's
you, do
changed
you
so much.
and do you think that but in your opinion, that's a better way of society? That's a good way of society to be.
I can't say whether or not it's good or bad because I mean, as a society around you, I mean, sure, it can be good to be around those that are just like you, but I mean, you can't really say it's bad to have those that are different from you either. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
can't be in a society where everybody's exactly the same. That's what's the point of that? Everybody's the same. So being around more and more people just like me, that's great. I love seeing it all, but it's also like, don't forget that people are also allowed to not be like us too. You know what I mean? It's just as accepting to be a straight male, just as, as much accepting as it should be to be a gay male. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it's good. It's good. The acceptance is great, but I just don't like the idea that people try to make it seem that because there's so much more of it now in the media, that people are kind of pushing away the straight cis male, the straight cis, female aspect. And it's not true. It's just you're not hearing about it like you are hearing about us, whether it be positive or negative. There's
yeah,
just more of us in the media now, and it's just in your face more. So to me,
yeah.
I can't say it's good or bad.
Do you know what I think it is, right? I think like I follow a lot of different LGBTQ groups on Facebook, right? Facebook's a terrible place. It's a dark, terrible place. But I also follow a lot of people on the other side, not homophobes or transphobic people or people who are against the LGBT, but people on the opposing side of each other, right? Sort of left and right. And what you've got is you've got On one side, you've got the LGBTQ on Facebook sort of supporting certain groups, sort of political groups, and then the other side, you have them supporting certain political groups, and they're totally divided. And if they just had conversations like this, they would actually realize that they have more in common than anything, than anybody, than the bloody politicians you're getting paid for it. And I think that's what the problem is: sitting down, having a conversation, having a little chat, having a talk, and realizing, do you know what? Yeah, so it's a big sort of bollocks. Just let people be people. But is there any is there anything else that you want to talk about? Any final messages?
Um, to be honest, really, it's for me, the last thing I could really say is to those around you that are questioning their gender identity, whatever it may be, their sexual orientation, anything. The best thing you can really do is just be there for that person. That's it. You don't even need to speak. Just sitting in a room next to somebody being dead silent is enough for a lot of people, especially for those like me who have struggled through mental illnesses and all kinds of different things. Just having that one extra person around you in life changes everything, whether you know it or not. I mean, the person next door to you could be struggling through something, and just saying hi, have a nice morning, or how's your day going, is more than enough than what you would think it would be. And that's pretty much all I have left to say.
That's very true, and I think we've covered everything there. And that's Carmen. That was absolutely amazing. Hopefully, you come back and you speak to us again. It would be my pleasure.
I would love to. I actually had a lot of fun. I mean, unless you have more questions, anything, crossing your mind, anything that
No,
we
no,
missed on.
there's no more questions. But there's no more questions from me. I listen. We'll come back on. We'll talk about other subjects, and that's what I like to do anyway. But listen, if you're happy with that, I'm happy with that, and we can end it there.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I can't wait to come back on again.
Peace, guys. Thanks. Peace out.
Later.